Have you ever wondered what has happened to the United States and its once vibrant culture? Have you ever wondered why a virtuous American culture has been in decay for over 60 to 70 years? The book Deus Ex Machina, God from the Machine, explains how foreign belief systems have been imported into the United States by foreign intellectual agents to be used to fundamentally transform the most prosperous and free nation in the world into a typical third world country. Learn how the progressive academics, progressive activists, large corporations, and the mainstream media have become appendages of the federal government, a Praetorian Guard, and an extension of the political vanguard class. Deus Ex Machina exposes the cogs of the machine that progresses our civil society to chaos and subjugation. Get this tool to educate others and illuminate the truth on the battlefield of ideas. Let's make a difference. Get Deus Ex Machina, the progression of secular socialism, from Amazon.com and Lulu.com today.
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz. For great radio, get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
Are you getting a TV picture now, Houston? Neil, yes, we are getting a TV picture. You're in our field of view now. Okay, ready for me to come up? All set. Okay, I'm on the top step. It's a very simple matter to hop down from one step to the next. You get 3 more steps and then I'll open. Okay, I'm going to leave that 1 foot up there and both hands down about the 4th rung up.
How you doing, folks? Chris Pilier, Lanterns Media Network, the Liberty Eagle. How are you all doing this evening? Got a great show lined up for you tonight. A lot of happenings in the news. Wow, today, pretty impressive stuff. So the DOJ, the Department of Justice, has reopened the investigation of the one and only, I affectionately call her Hillary Clinton. And, well, they basically offered her a plea deal. And also, if she takes that plea deal, they'll basically not further any investigation of the pay-to-play with the Clinton Foundation. Ha! Boy, is this going to be interesting. Grab your popcorn. Also, well, the FBI, and this happened, I believe, in July, but the FBI has, well, they received a search warrant for Paul Manafort, the former campaign manager of Donald Trump. They have raided his home. And, well, what are they going to find there? And what does this all mean? We'll have the legal expert, Susan Swift, on the program to explain a little bit of that. Also, obviously, in the news, the Norks. Are we going to pull out Dennis Rodman? I mean, maybe there's some diplomacy needed. I mean, at least that's what the media thinks we need to do. I mean, we need to send some crazy people over there to talk to the crazy people. Well, quite honestly, we can't do that crap anymore. So we'll talk about what we're going to do with all of that. And I hope you're stick with us on the battlefield. Make sure you share this page. Share. The Liberty Eagle and Lanterns Buzz. We are live right now.
Chris Pilier and Susan Swift from the Battlefield Live radio program from Lanterns Media Network and the Liberty Eagle will be right back after this short break. Stick with me.
We're here to fix the machine.
Battlefield Live.
You're listening to the Battlefield Live with Chris Pilier from Lanterns Media Network, the Battlefield Live radio program. I want to thank you for joining us on the battlefield tonight. We've got a great show lined up for you tonight, and I have in the batter's box, that's right, in the batter's box, the one and only, the illustrious Susan Swift. What's going on, Susan?
Hey, Chris. I am blessed and highly favored. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. All this news to talk about tonight, I didn't even know where to get started. I mean, we talked about North Korea last night, so I think we'll talk a little bit about that later in the program. But I want to get to this.
We're seeing all kinds of nuclear war going on. There's a couple nuclear war. There's the FBI nuclear war. They're nuking up. It sounds like with Hillary.
Yeah, some fire and fury from the DOJ there. So have you read this? I mean, this is something I just basically caught on the way home, and it's not. You're not hearing about it, right?
No. Where is this? Yeah, this is on Newsmax, right?
Right. Yes.
Oh my gosh, Ed Klein, Hillary's plea bargain. If you guys want to, it's newsmax.com. They reported about 12 hours ago or something. Ed Klein, Hillary's plea bargain. I haven't heard about this anywhere else.
Yes.
This is interesting.
So I actually first heard about it or read about it on the Daily Wire, Shapiro's site, and then of course they quote Newsmax. Yeah. So basically, what's here, kind of give you a background on this, folks. The Justice Department, this is from the Daily Wire, the Justice Department has reopened the investigation of Hillary Clinton's mishandling of classified material on her private email system. Of course, we always say it's in her bathroom, that dirty
That was
bathroom.
the thing in the bathroom. You know what? You mean like wiped with a cloth?
Yes.
That one. In
Yes.
the bathroom. No, we meant wiped with toilet paper, Hillary. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So
That wench.
So, and of course, this all happened when she was Secretary of State, and is considering offering her a plea deal, a bargain, if she will agree to plead guilty to charges of breaking the law. So, the question I have is she going to do this? Susan, what do you think?
Oh, I don't know. I'm reading through the lines, and I'm sitting here now at the very, very end of the story on Newsmax. It's the Clinton attorney, the unnamed Clinton attorney, whoever it is, cautioned that normally a plea deal is offered by a prosecutor only upon arraignment, and Hillary has not yet been charged with any crime. Okay, let's parse that. Okay, that's the very last thing. Okay, yeah, she hasn't been charged with a crime yet, but behind the scenes, nice and quiet like, they've actually walked it. They've knocked on the former First Lady's door. They're going tap, 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 tap. Hey, Hillary, if you want to avoid all of this nasty publicity so that you can, start your new career as a Methodist preacher. No, that's not a joke. She's trying to be a Methodist preacher. That's her latest gig that she wants to do.
She must be smoking peyote on her time off. Just what I'm saying.
I don't know. But so what they did is they are, under the wire, kind of, they're searching around saying, hey, we're going to open this back up again unless you take the plea. You don't want us to find the dirt. You don't want us to go dig. So this is what I'm trying to say. This is the bluffing that we're seeing with North Korea and Trump, all of that language. Except this is really serious, and it's under the wire. This is the FBI saying, look, we're going to start opening it up. You don't want to open it up, then you might want to take the plea. And it's all going to come down to how much they've got on her. And you and I know. I mean, we believe based on. Our good friend Comey, who came out, if you remember, this is while the entire Trump-Clinton contest was going on. He came out, he made this long 5-minute announcement basically saying how guilty she was. She did this, she did that, but there's no intent, and I'm not going to charge her. See ya. And then took off, right? And tried to avoid that whole thing. He tried to bury it. He was the FBI.
Right.
And he said, oh, well, no reasonable prosecutor would bring charges, right? And now we've got, now with a new FBI, they're coming in. They've probably got all those, just think about all of the different FBI agents that had pulled up material on Hillary, presented it to Comey, and said, I mean, I had heard rumors myself that people were going to walk in the FBI. They were so fed up with the amount of things that they had seen on Hillary that they had already communicated to Comey, look, we got to indict this woman or something. People are going to walk. We're losing morale here. So that stuff's all out there. That's still there at the FBI. Right. The desks haven't been, swept out. So now the new guy's got it. He's probably looking through it all, and this is saber rattling. And they're going to be all staring in each other's eyes. We're going to see who blinks first. But I think it's very, very interesting. And this happened a month ago.
Right.
This is the Justice Department's plea offer. This is old news, really, because it happened over a month ago, and that means that they've been a back and forth. They've been communicating this, and now I guess her attorney has said no, thank you very much. And now the story's coming out saying, okay, well, you don't want the deal? We're going to go to step 2. I find it's a very interesting game. I'm very glad to hear that we're actually opening it up and finding out what happened to the 33,000 emails. Well, the ones about yoga and the wedding, all of those.
Yeah, I always email about yoga. I don't know about you. Yeah, I always email about yoga. I don't know about you. I mean, there's so much to share.
Yeah, well, I just love talking about weddings.
Yes, absolutely. So I mean, right now, I tell you what, if you go over to the Liberty Eagle and Lanterns Buzz Facebook right now, I tell you what, this is something. I mean, people are really, really going off on this situation on the Facebook live chat. I want to thank everybody that's actually there participating. Of course, I want to thank Blair and Ron for sharing our work here. It's a pleasure to work with those folks. Also want to give a shout out to Juan, Rosemary, Debbie, Elaine, and Sue, and Brendan. Wow, there's a bunch. Jeff, Joni, the list goes on. Rob, AJ, of course. AJ from Lanterns Buzz. There's a whole bunch of folks. I'm sorry I can't mention everybody. Chris X is in the house as well. So Mr. Lockwood. So folks, get engaged. Get engaged on the battlefield. That's what this is. It's the battlefield of ideas. We look at these posts that y'all make, and we'll use your comments during the show. So make sure you go there. So Susan, one of the things that in looking at all of this, and kind of looking at what the possible outcomes could be, and it's amazing to me that this particular situation, and I guess I'll bring this up in the conversation now. This happened a month ago, as well as this whole thing with Paul Manafort, the FBI raiding Paul Manafort. So I'm wondering if that was kind of like they wanted to try to maybe be politically neutral in this situation. Obviously, the DOJ is not the FBI, but there is obviously some strings attached, if you will, to the Trump administration. What do you think about this whole Paul Manafort thing and this raid, this FBI raid?
I think it's very interesting that the FBI raided his home and they've got a warrant, so at least they're going by the law. We are not yet in communist Russia where they just break in the middle of the night. That's good news. Right. So I think they said the raid. I love how the media characterizes this is the Washington Post, so it's very left, and the way that they phrase it is just it sounds like we're living in a gulag. The raid, which occurred without warning on July 26th. I mean, doesn't that sound like a tsunami or a flood or a nuclear bomb? Signaled an aggressive new approach by Special Counsel Robert S. Mueller. Okay, really, was it without was it 4 in the morning and they didn't have a warrant? Well, they probably had a warrant. But also, if you read later down, that you find out that, they kind of knew that it was coming. So that he cooperated with the search. Manafort cooperated with the search. So it's not like they roused him out of bed at 3 in the morning, but I do love the way that they phrased it. And I haven't made up my mind on Robert Mueller. I know he's a Democrat. He's good buddies with Comey. That's what I've heard and read, and that makes me very uncomfortable. I think the Democrats really like him, and I kind of wonder if this is a witch hunt, if they're trying to sully what I think is what Democrats do in general. They want to make sure that Trump is ineffective. But I find it interesting that they're focusing on Manafort. It'll be interesting to find out what they unleash.
Well,
it'll be interesting.
All right, so there's a couple things here. Number one, I've actually followed Paul Manafort even in the primaries. In fact, I wrote on Lantern's Buzz about Paul Manafort and my concerns about Paul Manafort. Paul Manafort had connections, and we've talked about this before, so I don't want to run over old ground. But just to give
people don't remember it, and it's good to go over things so that people know they're brought back up to speed.
So Paul Manafort he's a political advisor. He goes back all the way back into the 70s and 80s. And he was an advisor to a pro-Putin or pro-Russian rather. I think it was I'm trying to think, what is it? The Ukraine? Was it the Ukrainian election? I don't want to get too far in the weeds here but bottom line, he was on the side of the pro-Putin candidate or president rather of the Ukraine, and on the other side of that was an anti-Putin, if you will, but he was a pro-Soros guy. So Soros was backing this guy. So all of this kind of stems back to this Clinton Soros connection against the Trump Putin. That's where this kind of thing is all moving around, is these two polar sides. And of course, what they're trying to do is they're trying to attach Trump to Putin, and they're trying to do that through with the politics through Paul Manafort. Now, Paul Manafort was a campaign manager, and there are issues with Paul Manafort. But this is what I find interesting, and this is where I guess if there's any concerns to have about this, it's here. So Paul Manafort has been openly sharing information back and forth with the DOJ, and apparently that wasn't enough. So they went and got a warrant and went to go look for things that they believe that Paul Manafort wasn't sharing. That's the only reason they would do that, unless this is all staged. And I don't believe it's staged. I think there's a legitimate concern, and I don't know, this has been going on for so long, and there's been so many damn nothing burgers that,
think?
Yeah. So I just don't buy much of it anymore. But this is one of those things that maybe it's just
they're overplaying their hand. The media continues, and the media and the left keep overplaying their hand. But you see, at the end of the day, the Democrats they've sold their base. They've told their base so many times that there is a Russian collusion, and that Trump is in bed with Putin, and that they are controlling the United States. That's what they've been selling to their constituents, and the constituents want blood, and they are never going to believe when you come back when you've built it up that long, that much, since November 9th, the day after the election. They started on this, and you have been doing this forever. Now you have to deliver. So this is the latest step on. Well, see, we told you, we subpoenaed Manafort. We got a warrant. We're gonna get him. This is just more fodder to put in the media press and grind it, and to keep their base at a frenzy, because you've got to remember what they're gearing up for. Really, this.
Right.
2018. Iowa is already, Democrat hopefuls are starting to already go into Iowa, and this is the warm-up, if you will, the pre-party, the tailgater for 2018. And that's all they got. That's what they got, is a nothing burger. The Russia nothing burger. That's what they're going to all be running on. And they've got to be able to say, well, there still is doubt. We are concerned. Could be Manafort. Yeah, they've got to have something that they can run on in 2018.
So let's do this, Susan. We're going to take a quick break. Folks, stick with us, because this is what we're going to do after the break. We're going to outline all of the connections, at least high-level connections, between Soros and the Hillary camp, the fears of the left with Russia, why Russia's a target, and it's not just Trump. It's a lot more than that. We'll cover that on the Battlefield Live radio program right after this short break. Stick with me. We'll be right back.
Lanterns, illuminating the truth.
People often ask me, they say, Chris, how is it that we can change the minds of many in this country? And I say, well, you first don't start with the mind. You have to start with the heart. You don't change minds without changing hearts. And that's what we're going to do. It wasn't that long ago that you might have not have had hope for the country, and all of a sudden you have a change of heart. We'll expect that other people right now feel the same way that you used to. It's those people that we have to reach out to. It may be you that we have to reach out to. So it's our task to form a community, a group, unified behind principles, unified behind what has made America the country that it is now. It's about liberty. It's about freedom. And everybody wants to experience this. We just have to show them how. It's about you being a lantern shining out the light of truth. And we can bring this all together in one place. It's truly about the shining city on the hill. Hope is not in the hands of someone else. It's within ourselves. It's within our hearts. It's within our minds. And it's about utilizing those things in order to be able to make us free.
Lanterns, illuminating the truth. Battlefield Live.
All right, folks, thank you for sticking with us on the Battlefield Live radio program. Got a great segment coming up for you here. This is what I want to do. I want to outline a lot of different things here, kind of set the table, if you will, for us to dine on some facts and some truth and really understand where all of this pressure politically is coming from and what's the source of a lot of this. But before that, I want to make sure I mention we are on Patreon, patreon.com/lanterns. If you wish to help out our program as well as all of the other great patriots out there, we're just one of many. You can go to patreon.com/lanternsbuzz, and you can basically give as much you want. If you give us $20 a month, you'll get this cool, fancy mug of wine. Of course, it doesn't come with the wine, but you can add that once you get the mug in. Also, make sure you follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Lanterns Buzz. And you can find our website at lanterns.buzz, where we have over 80 contributors. Make sure you also, if you're listening on Spreaker, or you're listening on YouTube, or watching on YouTube rather, or on SoundCloud, Player.fm, Stitcher, TuneIn, all of these different locations. iHeartRadio, of course. We're on iHeartRadio, iTunes podcast. Make sure that you share this content. Get this information out. This is a really important show because there's a lot of foundation here, and it will allow you to understand the landscape politically that we're working in. So make sure you share that. Also, make sure you go over to the Liberty Eagle on Facebook, like that page. Make sure you turn your notifications on so you're notified. There's a lot of great hosts over there. You got the Mr. Lockwood. He does a great show. Chris Sachs, Eric Thompson, among others. And also, of course, make sure you go to Lanterns Buzz on Facebook and follow us there. You can follow me at Paul Revere again on both Facebook and Twitter. It's my personal page. Get a little snarky there from time to time. Share some cool pictures. I'm from NOLA, New Orleans, Louisiana, and we have a great time. Susan, where can they find you on social media? Oh, hold up.
Social media at Real Susan Swift. And you can find me on my website, susanswift.net.
Absolutely awesome sauce. So check this out. So, Susan, you and I have talked about this before, and it's very, very important for us to, continually revisit this. And look, if there's anybody that has some expertise in this, it's Trey and I actually put this book together. Deus Ex Machina.
I was going to say, you know this. You demand. Yeah. We have an expert, ladies and gentlemen. We have Chris Pilier, the author of this fabulous book, Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, so the book, basically just the outline of the book is that we are basically digging down into the history, the brief history of the United States, and also kind of outlining how this postmodern Marxist socialist movement has come to the United States from foreign territory. And, of course, there's this globalist agenda. You hear about this globalist agenda quite often.
It's the Marxist swamp.
Yes.
That's what this is. You've written a book about the Marxist swamp.
That's right.
Don't you like that? You can thank me later. I think
I do like that. I kind of like that's a new hashtag. Hashtag Marxist swamp. So
I'll give you that.
So in the book we explain, of course, George Soros. Most of y'all know who he is, billionaire extraordinaire.
Bad guy.
Yeah, he's pretty much like the the Emperor in Star Wars, dark and scary guy.
Yeah, he is. He's that guy. The emperor that's behind, Darth Vader.
Yeah, he was the guy that basically made $1 billion off of crashing the British pound. And look, I'm all for shorting stocks and making a bunch of money, but he's run hedge funds. Anyway, so basically what George Soros, his whole platform, his ideology is built on this open society where he's basically stole it from Karl Popper. And his idea is there is a borderless world. There's a one world government. This is real stuff. This is not just fake conspiracy, theory, tinfoil hat, black helicopter stuff. This is real stuff that he talks about quite honestly and openly. And so what he does is he stirs up revolutions all around the world, and he's been doing this. There's quite a bit of history of this. He's talked about it openly. In fact, he says he has fun doing it. And one of the things that we've seen recently, we'll talk about Benghazi. We could talk about that. We could talk about the Arab Spring more generally. We can talk about what's going on in Syria. All of these different events, all of these different things have had Karl or George Soros' fingerprints on it. And what he's trying...
Do you have that all in your book? Have you detailed all of this in your book?
Somewhat.
Ex Machina?
So the book was written in 2000, I believe 2009 or 10, and that was prior to Benghazi and some of these other things. So I don't have all of that history there.
You need to update your book.
That's the second edition. I tell you what though,
that's right, The Marxist Swamp, the second book.
On lanterns.buzz, I've written a lot about it. We've talked about it in previous episodes, so you can actually do a keyword search on lanterns.buzz, and you can find a lot of this. But the whole point here, and I want to kind of package this nice and neatly so we can talk about how it's relevant now, is that Hillary Clinton is a part of that global establishment. People like, I believe, and maybe not directly connected to Soros, but like Mitch McConnell. Those folks are connected to this worldwide elite people that are basically trying to nation build in order to be able to, for the most part, eliminate people like Putin from the stage, right? They don't like Putin because Putin is a nationalist, if you will. He's a guy
kind of like Trump.
Yes, he's similar to Trump in ideology.
I mean, he's obviously a commie, but he is like Trump in that he's a nationalist. He wants Mother Russia to be the strongest in the world, just like Trump wants to make America great again. So they're both similar in that they are both nationalists.
Right.
And that's, of course, very contrary to the Soros one world global Bilderberger government where we're all going to rule the entire world and have a few elites running the entire world.
That's right.
Whole globe.
And one of the things that I do want to mention here, because we can say that Putin and Trump are similar in this way, but they're stark differences. Okay, and I don't want to go down that road, but let's make sure we make that caveat because I don't want people to think that we're thinking that there's some secret conspiracy with Trump and Putin.
Oh, come on. You're a conservative. They're going to take you out of context and they're going to quote you.
Right.
Don't worry. And they're going to say that you said that Trump and Russia are the same. They're twin brothers.
You see?
Said. I heard you said that. Come on. If they're not bothering to listen, you don't have to listen to them when they misquote you. You kind of hope they do because then you're over the target. If you're getting flack, you're over the target. Don't worry.
So let's break out just the nationalist piece, and so you have Trump that says let's make America great again. It's a nationalist statement, but it's there's a part of that American exceptionalism that's a piece of that, right? And then you have the whole idea of building the wall, the borders, focusing on America, those type of things are diametrically opposed to the Soros open society, and it's not Karl Popper, it's Popper. Karl Popper's ideas were distorted by Soros, but that's what the liberal progressives want. They want this one world government that's outside of the reach of the citizen, where we can't go in and vote people out in the UN. That's the way this stuff works. So they want to basically break away the power of the citizen and put it in the hands of a little intellectual elite in some crazy building that you'll probably never be able to enter. You'll never be able to talk to representatives. And they will be the kingmakers. They will be the people that draw the lines, if you will, around the places that they wish to draw lines around. So you have this borderless world, and that's important.
An open society,
yes.
Shall we say.
Yeah. What does that open society mean? Well, it's based on this foundation of, and I don't want to get too deep into the philosophy stuff, but it's a Marxist idea that you basically get rid of all stereotypes, get rid of all judgment and all morality. You remove all of this stuff because borders are not just a physical line on a map somewhere. You have borders around your identity. You have borders
and your morality around your body.
That's right.
And interpersonally, there are polite cultural borders so that men don't just, rape women in a square, and she needs to have 5 or 6 male witnesses.
That's right.
Oh, gee, really?
But think about this border. So Susan, if you and I and all the Lanterns team and our wives and husbands were all out eating dinner and we had to get up and go use the restroom, well, there's a border between the restroom, right? There's the men's side and the women's side, right? That border is.
You guys don't really have a border, not so much. You guys...
Yeah. well, some of us may not want to have the border, but no, that's gross. But so there's a border between.
You guys have a wall. Talk about building the wall. You guys just go in there and it's a wall. Okay, we don't do that. We're different.
Yeah, y'all really have walls, but the thing is that we there's a wall between gender, right? There's a wall between sexual orientation. So all of
you're saying my gender.
So all of these walls are intended to be torn down by progressives because if they believe that if you can tear these differences away, that there will be no war. It'll just be peace and love and happiness, and we'll never have to fight each other because we'll all be the same. We'll all be these little bitty formed bricks.
Fly and slide down rainbows.
Yes,
It'll be great.
Yes.
Yes, and if we don't have borders in bathrooms and stalls and stuff, all us women, we can just go in there and just watch you guys do your business, and that'll be really great, right?
Right. Like, oh my God.
That's what women really want, is we all want to go in and go pee-pee where the boys do, right? Yeah, okay.
The Californian showing in you, Susan.
So I'm a trans. What can I say?
So the thing is, though, is that if we look at what's interesting about this, in order to create this borderless society with just utopia, well, you have to create safe spaces, which is a border, and you put people in the safe spaces, which is basically like a prison because you can't speak your mind.
It's prison. Exactly.
Yes. I mean, how much more equal can it be than the Norks? I mean, all of the Norks, they just look all the same. They smell the same. They feel the same. They all are all in prison. So, I mean, if you're going to have some people in prison, you might as well put everybody in prison, right?
That's right. And how dare you make more than $75,000? I mean, at some point, you have made enough money. So I think we all ought to make $75,000 while live in Section 8 housing. Yeah, that's what we should do.
Yes, let's fight over which toilet we get to have in Congress rather than actually getting Congress to represent us.
Little curly Q light bulb. We'll have everything controlled, and you'll have 3 curly Q light bulbs. You'll have 1 low flush toilet. You'll be living in Section 8 housing, and you only get to make this much money. And George Soros will be happy.
And we'll all be equal. We'll all be equally miserable like the Norks. And that's basically Soros' idea. So what does he do? Okay? Well, number one, he supports anybody or anything that will destroy what Putin, Trump, conservatives, anybody that is a threat to this open society will do. He'll even go as far as supporting the one and only, ISIS. Yes, you see... Yeah, so ISIS, this is where this comes in. If you all are familiar with what happened with Benghazi as tragic and terrible it was for the people that passed away there, and I do not want to minimize the lives lost and the great servicemen and the Americans that were the
we lost our
patriots.
ambassador and 3 other fine men because someone issued a stand down order and told people don't go in there and rescue them, and we still don't know exactly who or what. But Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State at the time, and everybody was they're all sitting there with Obama in the corner. Everybody's looking and watching it go down, while our ambassador was tortured, burned alive, and killed.
That's right.
That was Benghazi.
And
we all think it's because of a drug deal or weapons deal, that was going down.
So the Turkish ambassador or diplomat was there with Christopher Stevens that night, the night he was attacked. He leaves, okay, and all of a sudden there's this attack. Well, what they ended up finding, okay, was that there was a gun running operation that was taking place in Benghazi, and they were shipping weapons through Turkey and around into Syria in order to arm the rebels. And, of course, a part of those rebels was ISIS, okay? And who was over all of that stuff, right? Well, Hillary Clinton was over the State Department. And at the same time, there was the Arab Spring. The Arab Spring, if you look into the Arab Spring, specifically what happened in Tunisia, the Arab Spring started there, and it was started by a group that was supported and funded through NGOs, which are non-governmental organizations, as well as George Soros. George Soros, the Clintons, Barack Obama, they wanted the Arab Spring because they wanted to try to diffuse, or I shouldn't say diffuse, they wanted to eliminate any type of Western influence in that region to try to turn it back to the Ottoman Empire, which I'm not going to get into that, but basically created this chaos down there in order to try to destroy the ability for the Russians and the Syrians to keep control over the Syrian regime. And, of course, the reason why is because there's pipelines and oil that needs to be pumped into Europe, and who better to create that great business of supplying Europe with oil than, of course, the Saudis, right? You know, the same Saudis that support ISIS, right?
Right.
So all of this stuff is all behind the scenes. Nobody talks about it because all the big power brokers, all the money in politics, all of the people that, like the Saudis that actually pay Fox News to not talk about that kind of stuff, and pay MSNBC to not talk about that kind of stuff, that pay people like CNN to not talk about this stuff.
Chris, you ought to have a little bit of proof if you're saying they're bribing our news networks.
Absolutely.
You think the Saudis are actually paying I mean, I kind of believe it with CNN fake news, but you think they're paying our news networks not to report?
I don't know. I know that the Saudis own parts of Fox News. Okay? I know they own a lot of the media, right? They own huge parts of the media.
Do you think they make the decisions?
I don't know. But think about this.
That's the thing.
But think about this.
Because you and I all probably in our mutual funds, our little 401ks, we all own tiny bits of companies too.
Absolutely.
But you and I can't pull we can't pick up and say, Sean Hannity, hey, I don't want you talking about, this or that.
Well, that's the thing. So if your boss is paying you, and tells you not to do something and you don't do it, well, it can kind of work you out. I mean, it's not like it just didn't happen over at, say, I don't know, a little bitty company called Google. Google, did you hear about this? You heard about what happened over at Google? So there's a guy that did the whole Jerry Maguire thing?
Yeah, who's gotten fired after he filed an NLRB action, and they fired him anyway. That guy, the engineer.
Yeah, that guy. Basically, the open free society that Google is trying to work themselves out with over there.
Yeah.
So my point is this with the whole Soros thing is that this attack on Donald Trump and the attack on Russia is really an attack on Russia for the world to see, so we can create the demon and the enemy of the idea of a nationalist or what I would rather say, an American mindset, that we have a nation and our nation is American. And it doesn't mean that it's white. It doesn't mean that it's black or yellow or red or whatever. It's not. It's American. And that the idea of America is an idea that is unique with us, and for many, many reasons. And so people like Soros, people like Clinton, they're trying to destroy that. They're trying to say that everybody's exceptional. You know, France,
right,
they believe in
But
French-American.
They want to undermine the whole idea of different countries with different flavors, with different people and ideas. Because, you know, I recall the Incredibles movie. You know, my kids like that, you know.
Right.
And if everyone's special, then no one is, right? If everyone's exceptional, then no one is.
That's
and
right.
what they want is one world, big vanilla or chocolate, take your color, one world flavor.
That's right.
They don't want 31 flavors like Baskin-Robbins with all these different countries, and we're all very proud of our country, and we all have different ways of doing things, different governing, different cultures. We don't want that. We all want vanilla or chocolate or strawberry, the whole world. There are no 31 flavors. We want one flavor of the world, and they want to be in charge of it.
That's right. So let's do this,
George
Susan.
Soros.
Let's take a quick break. We're going to come back here after this short pause. We'll continue up on this. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on in North Korea. And so stick with us on the Battlefield Live radio program, folks. We'll be right back. Make sure you share the Liberty Eagle and Lanterns Buzz on Facebook and Twitter. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz. For great radio, get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
Battlefield Live.
When the federal government that is intended to protect the people grows and grows and grows out of control and spreads across the boundaries that are put on it by the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, this is what happens. All of the good intentions that have been put into the NSA and all these different agencies and all these different tentacles of the Leviathan that we call the federal government, they're now being used against us. The good intentions have bled out. Now they become arms of political power. So as the Trump administration's coming in and the Obama administration's going out, the Obama administration used tactics in order to try to undermine and delegitimize Donald Trump. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, whether you are an Obama supporter or not, think about that for a moment. That your tax dollars, your rights that you have given to the government, for the most part, in order to so-called, quote-unquote, protect you from evil terrorists, have been used against you, the American people. And just because you didn't support Trump doesn't mean that it doesn't affect you. Because guess what? The next guy that comes into office, and he's a Democrat or a progressive, what do you think Donald Trump's going to do? If he's got his establishment up there. I'm not saying he's going to do it, but he could, and there's precedent for it. If we don't talk about this right now, and we don't get our federal government in order, this is going to continue. It's only going to get worse.
Lanterns changing hearts to change minds.
Lanterns illuminating the truth.
All right, folks, we're back on the battlefield. That's right, Battlefield Live radio program. Thank you for joining us. And we still got a good bit of content to cover, some ground to cover. Hopefully we can fit it all in the last segment here. Folks, make sure you check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/lanterns. Give us a shout out there. If you can donate, that'd be great. Also, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Lanterns Buzz, and follow me at Paul Revere again on both Facebook and Twitter. Susan, where can they follow you?
Social media at Real Susan Swift. Real Susan Swift. They can also find me on my webpage, which is susanswift.net.
Awesome. So let's venture into I guess the waters of the Norks, or should we call them the Nukes? Should we call them the Nukes now?
Yeah, exactly.
So What's that?
I'm loving how James Mattis, Mad Dog Mattis, he stepped into it, and I can just imagine how he said it, because he's a Marine and he's a very serious man, and he said it I almost imagine him very quietly saying the North Koreans must choose to stop isolating itself and stand down its pursuit of nuclear weapons. The DPRK, the People's Republic of Korea, should cease any consideration of actions that would lead to the end of its regime and the destruction of its people. And that's what a lot of people, I know everybody's super afraid because, as you and I've talked last night, we've got, Kim Dong Ding Dong, the guy with the stupid haircut. He is the puppet of China. We know who he is. He's a ding dong. And he's out there. And now we learned last night that North Korea has 60 nukes. 60 nukes, and that they've miniaturized it. It can go on top of an ICBM warhead. And so they got 60 of these that they can send out. What we kind of forget, and all of the mass media, Andrea Mitchell and these people are just saying that the worst thing for them is that Trump is saying that he's going to rain down fire and fury. That's the worst thing you could ever say, because words are worse than actions.
Right. Because
words are more dangerous than 60 nuclear warheads in the hands of a madman with a bad haircut. Right.
Right.
They don't see that. But they miss these liberals. They miss. We have 6,800 nuclear warheads.
Right.
Russia has 7,000. We have. I was reading one of my friends on Facebook, and he analogized it to a firecracker.
Right. Ding
Dong John has a firecracker. What we have is we own the whole fireworks store, and we have all the matches. We can absolutely, and we don't even need to go to nukes. We have a massive army. We've got the best army the world has ever seen. We can fly over there in the dead of night, and we can level North Korea if we have to. Now, that's not what Trump is saying he's going to do.
Right.
He hasn't said he's going to use nuclear, but everybody's acting like, oh, he's going to bring us to nuclear war. What should we do? No. He's being very diplomatic, and part of his diplomacy is strong talk and sending General Mattis out there and saying, you guys better, you understand, if you're getting in a fight with the big dog, we're gonna play for keeps.
Yeah.
And I'm sure behind, we haven't had any leaks in the last day or so, but I'm sure he's on the phone to China. I'm just wondering when the deep state's going to leak the contents of that conversation, because that's what they do.
It's amazing, the media, they look at this and they act like all of this stuff that we do is out in the open and there's nothing going on behind the scenes. And here's a perfect example. Right. So you mentioned Andrea Mitchell this morning on The Morning Joe. She basically said, she was beating up Donald Trump because she felt like he was not using the words of Mattis. And we talked about this yesterday, that this is, this sounds like a Trump statement, but as if he's acting outside of the generals, the same generals that they didn't like that were in his campaign. So I want to do this for Andrea Mitchell, because obviously people like Mad Dog Mattis and these others, they're just these figureheads, and I wanted to listen to some of the quotes of Mad Dog Mattis and understand where this guy comes from and the way that he sees the enemy, right? Listen to this. Here's a couple of quotes.
Well, I got to tell you that, because I may need a cigarette when I get through listening to him.
Yes.
Mad Dog. Oh.
So here's a couple quotes. Here's number one. He says, "I don't lose any sleep at night over the potential for failure. I cannot spell the word." Here's number two. "The first time you blow someone away is not an insignificant event. That said, there are some," well, I can't say that word, a-holes, "in the world that just need to be shot." Here's number three.
Oh, say that again, please. There are some people in the world who just need to be shot. That reminds me of growing up in Texas. And the best defense there is in Texas is, well, he just needed killing.
Here's number three. "I come in peace. I didn't bring artillery, but I'm pleading with you with tears in my eyes. If you F with me, I'll kill you all."
I love it.
Here's number four.
And I love it because he's dead serious.
He's right. You're right. Here's number four.
With me, I'll kill you all. That's a man. It's a Marine. Hoo-ah.
It's like Patton level, right? So find the enemy that wants to end this experiment in American democracy and kill every one of them until they're so sick of killing that they'll leave us the freedoms intact.
Yeah.
He's serious.
This is the right attitude. And frankly, this is what the GOP needs. This is what McConnell needs. He needs a Mattis implant, okay?
Yes.
And I'll leave you figure out what organs he needs reimplanted. But that's what we need to do is we need politically, we need to absolutely advance our agenda and politically kill oppositions in the Democratic kind of left-wing establishment. We need to kill those ideas.
Kill the ideas on the battlefield. That's right. That's why we call this the battlefield. And so in the battlefield of ideas, if we take the military man, Mad Dog Mattis's quote here, and we put this into, you have to take out the safe spaces and the snowflakes, and this is how you do it. You be polite, you be professional, but you plan to kill everybody that you meet. Of course, we're talking about the ideas, right?
Politically speaking. But yes, and our enemies in North Korea, I mean, Kim Ding Dong, I hope he has a big X on his little funny hair. We need to shave an X right on his head because he needs to be taken out. Just like, remember Reagan within hours? Remember in Libya, those two just took out Muammar Gaddafi, just boom. And then hours later, our hostages that, Jimmy Carter couldn't figure out what to do with, right? They were already on a plane coming home because they were so afraid of Reagan.
Right.
That's the kind of fear that we need to instill in our enemies so that they play nice and polite. And that's frankly the kind of fear we need to instill in Soros. I don't know how to do this. If I did, boy, I'd be smart and getting paid a lot of money. But this is the ideology is the same. That's what Mad Dog Mattis is about. And that Trump's got that same idea, which is I'm going to protect America. And if you guys don't stop it right now, look, there's so many things that he knows that we don't about back channels to China, negotiating with Japan. I'm sure he's on the phone with Korea and everybody in that region. They all know that China has been the aggressor. China is building islands in the South China Sea to kind of extend the range of their military navy. Oh, well, this is our island. It's like, no, it's a conglomerate of probably trash and waste and stuff that you build, but they are very aggressive in that world. They're very, very aggressive. Right. And by the way, they're going to get very aggressive with us with our debt. If we do not get our debt under control, China holds a lot of our debt. All they have to do is say, well, make you a deal, Mr. Trump. I really do like the views from San Francisco Bay. Tell you what, why don't you just let Cal exit happen? And we'll take over California. We're buying up a lot of land there anyway, and we'll call your debt square. But the other part of it is, don't mess with Taiwan. Don't come after. Don't do Japan. Nothing. You leave the South China Sea to us and give us California, and your debt is paid.
So that's
the problem with having a debt.
Here's another quote from Mattis. You ready for this one? And this is actually really good for the Battlefield Live. You ready? The most important 6 inches on the battlefield is between your ears. Are you blushing over there? Good Lord. How much wine did you put in that mug of wine over there? Here's quote number 8.
I'm sorry.
Here's quote number 8. You ready? You are the world's most feared and trusted force. Engage your brain before you engage your weapon. Your weapon. Your weapon. Your weapon.
We can say this to 18-year-old boys all day long. Engage your brain before you engage your weapon. I love this man.
Here's another one. There are hunters and there are victims. By your discipline, cunning obedience, and alertness, you will decide if you are the hunter or the victim.
This is true. True, Dad. Absolutely.
Very good stuff. Here's one more. There is nothing better than getting shot at and missed. It's really great. I Who says that?
What a guy. I love him. I mean, he's like a real life superhero character. I mean, forget the Avengers and all those liberal actors, who play Captain America. I mean, we just need to put General Mattis in a Captain America suit and we get the real deal. He's a little wrinkly, but man, he is Captain America. I love this guy.
He's a pretty serious dude. So this
Love
is the
him.
guy that's pretty much the guy behind the strategy, if you will, of Donald Trump's foreign policy, specifically, especially now with what's going on with the Norks. And to think that there's any type of separation between these guys. Look, we said it last week. We said that Donald Trump was shuffling the deck, if you will, on the way he was doing things. He's moved people out of the White House. He's moved in more military-oriented people that are more disciplined. I really truly believe that Trump is making some changes here, and we'll see. Look, I have said this before. I was not the biggest Trump fan. I told everyone that I was going to give him the opportunity, and when he does something that I don't like, I'll make sure I say it. But these are things that he's actually doing. I'm not a warmonger, and I'm not a hawk in that respect. But he's basically making a firm line in the sand, if you will, and we'll see what comes out about this. I am sure that it's going to be a little bit better than what Barack Obama did in Syria, wouldn't you say?
I sleep very well at night after listening to Mad Dog Mattis. You say that, I'll be nice and asleep. Give me a cigarette and I'll go right to sleep. I'll be fine. And just a reminder, it was Bill Clinton. Remember him?
OBJ.
Bill Clinton. That he's the one that said this is a good deal for the United States. North Korea will dismantle its nuclear program. The entire world will be safer. Bill Clinton gave us the North Korean nuclear program. He gave North Korea billions that they spent on, the nukes. Of course, Bill Clinton sold it as this is going to help them build fuel and, nuclear power, blah, blah, blah. It didn't work. And you know what? That whole error was repeated again under another Democrat president, the former Barack Hussein Obama.
Yeah,
he's the one that has armed. After we get done with North Korea, it's going to be time to handle the Iranian nuclear problem, and that's because of Barack Obama.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you put the trust in a guy that can't figure out where to put his 6-inch missile in the right place. So other than that,
his cigar.
Yeah, so golly, we have just spiraled out of. See what happens when we mention the Clintons and Clinton's bathroom, and
I'm sorry, but you know what? They did that blue dress cigar. That's all on them. The guy's nasty. These people are nasty people.
Yes,
they really are. We can laugh about it, but they are immoral. They're amoral. All they want is power and control, and they don't really care about women. They want to use women. Hillary Clinton wants to use people.
Right.
They don't care. They can break the law.
Yeah,
so it's all on them.
And it's all about their agenda. It's all about destroying American exceptionalism. It's about undermining the American people, taking your wealth, taking your private property, giving it to people that haven't worked for it, and somehow expecting that out of that is going to sprout the beautiful utopia that is, I don't know what to call it. Communism? Is that the best thing we can call it?
Yes, I think, or the swamp. But yes, but it is. It's communism. It's the modern day communism. It's the open society communism.
Yeah, it's not the communism of the Soviet Union. It will turn out that way, but it's not what they're trying to design, and they're going about it in the state capitalist way, right? So let's do this. We actually got 30 seconds here, Susan. You got a book that's out. What's the name of your book, and where can they get it?
Oh, well, it's called Good Guys with Guns at Home. That's the first book. And the other book is Good Guys with Guns Abroad. They are children's books. They're about the everyday heroes in our police force and our domestic law enforcement, and also abroad, meaning the military. And if you just hold on one second, I'll grab it for you and you can see it.
But hurry up, because we got to roll.
There it is.
You just showed everybody your butt on television. You realize that?
This is Good Guys with Guns Abroad, and this is about our military heroes who protect us all around the world, all Americans around the world. And it's written with beautiful pictures to explain to children in very simple languages like this one. Hi, I'm a Coast Guard seaman.
All right, we got to roll.
American oceans from pirate.
We got to roll,
and
Susan.
This is my gun.
Hello?
It is mounted on my boat.
Susan!
So things like that, so that very young children get to see this.
All right, folks. Thank you for joining us on the battlefield. Thank you for joining us on the battlefield, folks. We'll be back on Tuesday next week, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Make sure you check us out on lanterns.buzz, and we'll talk to you later. Tater, thank you for joining us.